best man on the radio. So sit right back and enjoy the show. Fly through the air like a ballistic missile. Here's your host, Ben Kissel.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to OK Bud Politics, the podcast where everything's going to be okay, bud. I am Ben Kissel at Ben Kissel1, joined by Kyle Ploof.
Hello.
At Kyle Ploof. Shoot us an email at okbudpod@gmail.com. Also, watch live on, what's it called? Patreon. Patreon.com/diebud. Watch, comment, engage, enjoy. We are working on getting a new set, so we're going to look all professional and downright bona fide. Can't wait to be with y'all for the foreseeable future. A lot of news to get to. Obviously, what's suffocating the American people right now is the conversation regarding Elon Musk and Donald Trump.
Blood feud.
Blood feud. A lot going on. What's happening? What's not happening? Are they kissing? Are they not going to kiss? Oh my God, whatever. All of that is a massive distraction. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what's going on with the Supreme Court regarding Doge, the Department of Government Efficiency. They just got a massive win by the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court allows them now to basically know every single thing about your life, including the shape and size and length of your perineum. So we will discuss that. Of course, it's fun to talk about the feud between Trump and Musk. We all knew it was going to happen. And it does.
Did we?
Yeah, of
I
course.
thought they were going to hold hands into the sunset.
No way. They're psychos.
They're two billionaires.
Yeah, it's never going to happen. Not like that. Basically, what happened in a nutshell is they're calling it Big Beautiful Bill. It's disgusting to even call it that. It's so stupid. It's ridiculous. It's a spending bill. Basically, if it doesn't pass, we don't keep the government open, which is probably why we need to raise the debt ceiling, but that's a whole nother conversation. Donald Trump has pulled out a lot of support for Tesla and for Elon Musk's EVs, electric vehicles, and then Elon Musk was all mad about that. Also, Elon Musk wanted this dude named Isaacman to be the head of NASA, and then Donald Trump was like, no, that dude donates too much to the Democrats, so we don't like him anymore. So then Donald Trump pulled his name out of the hat, so he's no longer in the running to become the head of NASA, so then Elon Musk was all upset about that. So it's really just two people who are butthurt over very personal things. And again, I don't know if it's being blown out of proportion, but there are much more important things happening in this country that we are going to discuss on this fine show of ours. Let's start with a bit of an update regarding the Colorado terror suspect, the dude who wanted to firebomb using a Molotov cocktail peaceful Israel marchers. This was in Boulder, Colorado on Sunday. Of course, the pro-Israel march was taking place to remember the individuals that were killed on October 7th. And he ended up lighting himself on fire instead. So this is the breaking news. He launched a second gasoline bomb, but he didn't really do it very well. Like a video game gone horribly, horribly wrong. He lights himself ablaze, and it's almost hilarious, the calamity of errors that went into this guy's terroristic plots.
Yeah.
So now he is potentially and probably going to be deported by ICE. My friend Alex has sent me a whole bunch of stuff when it comes to ICE and them showing up in neighborhoods all across this fine country of ours. And it is very interesting because they definitely look like they don't belong. So it's fascinating. But when it comes to this fella, ICE definitely has a point to deport him. According to Alex Asante, who shot the video, he says, I was right there, front row and center for this horrific event. He threw a Molotov cocktail at a woman, but when he threw the Molotov cocktail, he lit himself on fire. So we have the video of it, and he really does go up in a blaze. He only wears a bandage on his ear, and he's not wearing a shirt, so it's pretty incredible how well he survived this thing.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of people still right there.
Yep.
Confronting him.
Oh, yeah, they're all mad at him and stuff, because he was throwing Molotov cocktails at him. And then he got down in his stomach. But the Molotov cocktail, I don't know what kind of mixture he was using. Maybe it was Mad Dog 2020, not the most powerful of all the boozes, because it didn't really light him ablaze that much.
Yeah, it'll give you a tummy ache, but it's not a good accelerant, I don't think.
No, also, I am a aficionado of wine, and my favorite wine, watermelon.
That Arbor Mist?
Yes. Oh, my God. Arbor Mist. Don't even get me going. I'm hungover just thinking about it.
Oh, yeah.
So the witness says after he lit himself on fire, he came back, he took off his vest. It looked to be a bulletproof vest and his shirt. The shirtless Mohammed Sabri Solomon, he's 45. He was then arrested after trying to, again, firebomb at least a dozen people. He is an Egyptian national. He's in the U.S. on an expired visa. So naturally, he will be deported back to Egypt. Of course, I assume he will also be standing trial right here in this country of ours.
It's like, you guys don't have to hold my feet to the fire. I already did that myself.
I already did it. Guys, it's like when Plaxico Burress shot himself in the foot when he brought a gun illegally into a bar in New York City. But I feel like if you shoot yourself,
Right in his own thigh.
yeah,
His
you kinda-
punishment was having to go to the Jets after that.
Yeah, that's true. I feel like if you light yourself on fire in the world's dumbest act of terrorism, get a mulligan? Maybe a mulligan? I don't know.
It was just his practice round.
Yes. Evidently, one of the victims, they say one of the persons was lit head to toe, and the other 4 people were severely burned.
Jeez.
It was a really, really very sad. So we hope the best for the victims and a quick recovery. Okay, last episode, we were also discussing the horrific response by FEMA when it comes to national tragedies that happen every year. The new head of FEMA, it's crazy. So there is some confusion on if the new head of FEMA, again, this is the entity that is supposed to be the front lines to make sure that Americans don't die during natural disasters.
Yeah.
The head of FEMA, the dude's name is David Richardson. He says that he didn't know that America had a hurricane season.
Well, he's never lived on the East Coast then.
Yeah, but he's the head of FEMA.
Right.
Shouldn't you know? Hurricane season is pretty popular. Mm-hmm. We all know about hurricane season. So the remark came during a briefing by David Richardson. He's led FEMA since early May. People were like, is he joking? Is he not joking? The U.S. hurricane season officially began this past Sunday and lasts through November. According to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, the forecast last week was that this year's season is expected to bring as many as 10 hurricanes. So,
Jeez.
if you are in an area that might be affected by hurricanes, don't think that the government is coming to save you, because the head of fucking FEMA doesn't even know that hurricane season is a thing.
Well, that's fun.
It's nuts. Isn't that the first question you're asked when you have to become the head of FEMA? Is like, natural disasters occur, right? And you're like, wait, what are those?
Yeah, that's what makes you go to work.
Yeah, I know about natural disasters. Fantastic tag team, typhoon.
Yeah.
What was it, typhoon and hurricane or something?
Earthquake.
Earthquake. Yeah, I know them, man. No, not pro wrestling. Actual natural disasters. FEMA says it was a joke. And when I think of good humor, I always think of the head of the agency that's supposed to save lives of people suffering because their houses are underwater. LOL.
Yeah.
I love when they make jokes.
Oh, my God.
Yes, the spokesperson said under Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem. Don't forget, Kristi Noem is the woman who wrote an autobiography where she bragged about killing a dog because the dog wouldn't hunt.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she bragged about taking the dog to a big pile of sand and then shooting the damn thing in the frickin' head because it wouldn't hunt. And she's like, this is going to make me look like a great leader. And sadly, she is the one who is now, again, in charge of Homeland Security for America. And
Jesus.
obviously that has a large role to play in what's going on with ICE and the mass deportations that are taking place. So Kristi Noem, I don't understand why she included that in her book. It was a little bit like when Lena Dunham? Remember that when she did that rap for Hillary?
Oh.
And then she was like, are we costing Hillary the election? And it's like, kind of.
Thank you.
Between you and James Comey, you're kind of doing it.
Yeah.
You both wear weird pantsuits. But when Lena Dunham was just randomly in her book was like, and then I finger popped my sister.
Yeah, I've been molesting my sister the whole time, but it's okay because I'm a chick.
I don't know if she was molesting her, but she was like, what?
Yes, she was.
I was 6. She said I was 6 years old and I put Skittles in my sister's pussy all the time. I was like, what are we adding this for?
Yeah.
It's because she never had anything traumatic actually happen to her growing up because she grew up super wealthy. So then you have to add these things
Yeah.
to make your life seem interesting. because, again, they grew up on Easy Street and feel like they still want to be seen as interesting, even though they are just rich dipshits. Speaking of dipshits, again, this is Richardson talking about FEMA. They say FEMA is shifting from bloated, DC-centric dead weight to a lean, deployable disaster force that empowers state actors to provide relief for citizens. So what they have basically just said is FEMA is shifting from a non-effective a non-effective force that is going to now make state actors provide all the relief for their citizens. Hopefully they provide those state actors funding, although that will be hard to come by. Richardson said during the briefing that there would be no changes to the agency's disaster response plans, despite having told staff they expect a lot of changes. So there you go. So it's going to be left up to the states.
Oh, boy.
Even though many of these things obviously go through many, many states, and there isn't one state that can handle the burden of these natural disasters on their own. This is one area where the federal government definitely needs to have a hand in protecting its citizens. And the fact that FEMA is somehow bragging, which is what they're trying to do, they're bragging like, just so you know, we are not going to help anymore.
Yeah. I mean, what are we paying them for then?
Exactly. So Democrats have criticized Richardson following the report. This is according to Chuck Schumer, who I'm no fan of, but he might be right here. He says he was unaware why he hasn't been fired yet. Representative Benny Thompson, the senior Democrat on the House Homeland Security Committee with oversight of FEMA, issued a statement that read, "Suffice to say, disaster response is no joke. If you don't know what or when hurricane season is, you're not qualified to run FEMA. Get someone knowledgeable in there." So again, if you are in a stormy land, a place that storm season comes and ravages your homes and your neighborhoods, do not expect the federal government to show up, because they don't even know it's fucking happening. Which really is the first step of solving the problem.
Yeah, you know.
You got to know what's happening.
Right.
They're like, hurricane season, what is all that?
Even then, like when they do know what's happening, there were like private entities that were sending food out to a lot of the places, but they were being stopped because it wasn't sanctioned through the proper channels. And all that
Right.
stuff.
They're like, that
oh,
food might be unhealthy for the people who are currently drinking poisoned water
Yeah,
and sucking,
exactly.
the crap out of raccoons so they can stay alive for a weekend.
right.
We need to make sure this Arby's is tested. All right, so a couple of updates from last episode. Let's move on to a story that is getting no press. This comes from The Hill. And when I say no press, no television press, it's not taking any oxygen up in mainstream media. This just happened. Breaking news just happened today. The Supreme Court handed down a massive victory for DOGE. Again, that's the Department of Government Efficiency. It basically allows DOGE to know everybody's sensitive information, including their Social Security numbers. So, what's happened here? Total violation, number one. This headed formerly by Elon Musk, who is not even an American, not voted by the American people, not voted for by the American people, someone who is now claiming that he's the reason that Donald Trump won, so on and so forth. DOGE will now be allowed to, again, look into people's most personal finances. In the case of Social Security, the justices lifted a Maryland-based federal judge's order blocking DOGE from snooping around the SSA's system. Now, what does that contain? Identifiable information, including Social Security numbers, medical and mental health records, bank data, and earning history. Why does DOGE need to know this about American citizens? It doesn't.
It's government efficiency. They've been cutting like programs and making sure that's all good. Why are we talking about private citizens?
Of course, Social Security coming from the government, but naturally, when it comes to corruption within Social Security, that is a decimal error,
Right.
a decimal point error. compared to all of the bloat and trash that the government spends our hard-earned money on. So the majority did not explain the reasoning. This is what they said. This is all that they said. They said SSA may proceed to afford members of the SSA Doge team access to the agency record. In dissent, and I agree with them here, even though I disagreed with these two on the last episode regarding the immigration policy, even though it wasn't about immigration policy, it was about powers between the executive and judiciary. Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson joined Justice Sonia Sotomayor and said, this is insane. There is no reason why Doge should have the right to know people's medical information, social security number, and their ability to really know things that are very, very personal, specifically in the capitalist society that we live in.
Right. Yeah, they want their earnings history and their medical records and stuff to see how long they're going to be sucking off the teat.
Mm-hmm. And then
get on off.
God forbid you make $1 more than you have to, or that you're allowed to get SSA, and they're like, no, you're just fine, even though you haven't earned it actually enough to change your life. This is really the massive problem with it. So let's just say if you make $50,000 a year, you're going to be kicked off of Social Security. So you get a job and you're making $55,000 a year, not enough money to change your life, really. So you still actually need Social Security, but because you've technically gotten a increase in wages, your life becomes worse, and in the long run, it decreases your quality of life.
Yeah.
Which is just one of those horrible, horrible, ironic things. Which is why many people want to work 39 hours, not 40 hours, for example, and many people want to keep how much money they earn actually lower, so they can continue to get government assistance, because there's no wiggle room whatsoever. These numbers are hard, and that's just not the way that the world actually works.
Right.
So this is what Jackson wrote. She says the court is thereby unfortunately suggesting that what would be an extraordinary request for everyone else is nothing more than an ordinary day on the docket for this administration. I think this should be much bigger news. Again, not just the drama going on social media regarding Donald Trump and Elon Musk, who has actively said that Donald Trump was raping children on Epstein Island.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So that's fun. I mean, I get it. I mean, that's the headline. That's a much more fun headline.
Yeah.
Like, you know, our president raped a bunch of kids on Epstein Island.
Yeah. But then
meanwhile, Doge is absolutely violating our privacy.
Epstein's lawyer came out and said that he doesn't have any dirt on Donald Trump.
They're all friends.
Yeah.
Who knows? She continued, I would proceed without fear or favor to require Doge and the government to do what all other litigants must do to secure a stay from this court. So Alina Kagan also says this is not right, and I completely agree with him. All right. The records lawsuit, the Supreme Court also, they have a second emergency decision. It stems from the Freedom of Information Act lawsuit against Doge. So the government, it asked justices to overturn judges' orders allowing limited discovery into whether Doge is an agency which would dictate whether it's subject to FOIA requests. So right now, if you do want to know what the hell is going on with Doge, this is so ironic because obviously it's supposed to be transparency come to life.
Yeah.
Doge is supposed to be like, we're going to peel back the curtain on government spending. But if it's not officially an agency of the government, then you can't file a Freedom of Information Act, which basically gives them all the power in the fucking world. And again, who are these assholes?
For real. And because it's technically a private entity then?
Apparently so. It's a floater. It has not been officially called an agency, and it's not officially not an agency. So right now it needs to be considered an agency in order for FOIA requests to matter.
Damn.
Which I definitely would like to know what the fuck is going on with our Department of, government efficiency. which does just ring. It rings a little strange, doesn't it?
Well, it just has to fit
Government
the coin.
efficiency.
Yeah. It's got to fit the coin.
Oh, that's true. It does. The Dogecoin.
Yep.
Is that happening now?
Oh, yeah. Elon bought a whole bunch of it, and it went up when he got picked for SNL to host, and then he got into the government, and it got even bigger.
Oh, okay. Well, that's exciting.
Like insider trading shit.
Oh, very nice. Yes. So be careful what's going on with all of that.
Yeah.
It's absolutely disgusting. Again, no one talking about it. This just happened, and the Supreme Court allowing Doge to have that much access to our data is complete bullshit.
Yeah, it sounds like a Peter Thiel deal.
It might be a Peter Thiel deal.
Because he's the guy behind Palantir, which is the
Yes.
data company that's trying to get us all in trouble with law enforcement.
Don't forget data. Data is money. When you have the data, you have the power, specifically in the world that we live in now.
They say it's the most valuable asset out there.
Absolutely. I mean, that's why, Facebook and all of these things. That's why, like Tesla, for example, it's not a car company. It's a data collection company.
Yes, world mapping data.
They know everything about you. And especially, again, once you know somebody's finances and their medical records and their health care, God knows what you can do with that information. And it definitely is not going to be good. All right, moving on, but staying in the Supreme Court. I love those old motherfuckers in robes. AR-15s.
Ooh,
Pow, 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 pow. Indeed. It will be decided perhaps soon if you can constitutionally ban them. Right now, the court only has 3 justices willing to take up the case. You need 4. And Justice Kavanaugh is the fourth justice. He says that he will do it in the future.
You can just say no. If
Yeah, the Supreme Court, they can just say they don't want to take the case.
What?
Yeah, of
I didn't know
course.
you could do that individually. I thought it comes to the table and they go, yay, nay.
Well, that's what happened. They said nay. So
But even hearing it.
No, the Supreme Court takes like 1% of all the cases that are proposed for it.
Wow.
Yeah, they don't hear shit.
That's not very efficient.
No, it's not efficient at all. So the Supreme Court this week has declined to take up a case that involves whether possessing an AR-15 is protected by the Second Amendment. This is very interesting. 3 justices, Clarence Thomas, Samuel Alito, and Neil Gorsuch, voted to hear a challenge to Maryland's ban on possessing AR-15s. So Maryland banned the AR-15 after Sandy Hook. Even though Sandy Hook took place in Connecticut, Maryland was like, close enough. We are banning the AR-15 here as well. Obviously, there was a lawsuit, and now it has gone to the Supreme Court. And once again, they did not hear the Maryland case. But this is what Justice Kavanaugh says. He says, in my view, this court should and presumably will address the AR-15 issue soon in the next term or 2. But he doesn't want the case to be the case that is brought by Maryland and the people who disagree with the state of Maryland for banning AR-15s. I believe this should be up to the states.
Yeah.
That's what I believe. It's going to be a tumultuous situation if the courts do decide to ban the AR-15. You now make millions and millions and millions of gun owners criminals. And also, how do you get those guns out of their hands? Is it a grandfathered in situation? Do they have to, is it a gun buyback situation? Or is it just straight up you go into people's houses and you take their firearms? If that's the case, there's about to be millions of little Ruby Ridges all over this country and standoffs, and God knows it'll make what happened in Waco with David Koresh look like a day at Disneyland.
Seriously.
So that's the tricky thing. These guns in America, it's very difficult to put the genie back in the bottle. Once you have an armed society like we have, and once you live in a world where the police force is so militarized, you know, we've had arms races in suburbs all over this country for decades upon decades, people hoarding firearms. So if the Supreme Court does go, I don't think that they will, because does tend to be a bit more of a conservative court, obviously. I don't think that they will ban AR-15s, but then again, they've made some surprising decisions, and these justices have showed themselves to have an independent tilt at certain times. That would lead, in my personal opinion, to a lot of chaos. I'm actually interested to hear the chat talking about AR-15 bans. If you have any comments on that, let me know, because, again, that is not an easy issue.
Yeah.
And there are millions of people who own AR-15s
Yeah.
that don't do anything. Most people with AR-15s don't shoot up middle schools.
No, definitely. And people go hunting. People go just target shooting. I mean,
But obviously, when something like that does happen, and it happens way too often, you're going to look at the tool that's used in those activities and say, well, should we have that public for the American people to consume?
yeah, it truly is terrifying when obviously it's in the wrong hands. But yeah, like you said, most people aren't doing that.
They're not. And so then do you make millions of people criminals overnight? So it's, again, very difficult. And these are some of the most difficult things in our country to deal with and to litigate, and specifically for the Supreme Court to decide on. But once again, the Supreme Court has proven itself, they have proven itself willing to take on very controversial issues, such as, of course, the situation with Roe v. Wade, which is something no one thought they were going to touch.
Yeah.
So this court, they are willing to go and take on certain issues that haven't been touched for many, many years. Yeah. Any comments?
Nothing yet. Everyone's stuck on Dogecoin.
Oh, Dogecoin. What's going on with Dogecoin?
Pano invested $5 into Dogecoin years
How'd you
ago.
do?
It's worth 17 cents now.
Well, they're going to know your finances, buddy.
Yeah. Jeff said he has plenty of Doge, but got a single one from a promo at Taco Bell.
What?
Yeah. So
Doge at Taco Bell?
people are saying, I'll have a chalupa with Dogecoin on the side, please.
Yeah, why not? Dip that in some fire sauce.
Oh, here's Jeff. He's former military, so he says, I love my AR. It's the closest civilian side to what we used and trained on in the military. Just no burst or full auto selection like we had then. But also, that's when it gets illegal, is when people get the bump stocks to make it go
Right.
almost full auto. Or
Yes, obviously, and it's a fine line between automatic and semi-automatic. It's interesting because I was just reading an article about people who are gay, transgender. The number of gun sales in that community is skyrocketing.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yes, many people who are transgender or gay, they feel as if they're being under attack, and because of that, they're going to buy firearms. So it's not just, I think a lot of times people have this idea of who owns guns, gun-toting maniacs, the Timothy McVeighs of the world, and it really is a more diverse group that are, into self-protection and into owning their own firearms, because once again, when we have a militarized police force, we have to protect ourselves somehow.
And I'd like myself with a good guy with a gun. I'm not having the guns, but I would like to have a
I
good guy
don't own
around.
a gun because I'm going to kill myself.
Yeah, I mean that too.
Maybe at some point, if my brain decides that I'm no longer no longer want to do that.
Yeah.
Not that I do. Come on.
I bought a Glock pistol, but it's a Air BB one.
Oh.
So that's for like home protection. But if
Yeah.
I pull it out, then I was thinking like, oh, they're going to think I have a real gun, so then they're really going to shoot me.
I got a big wooden spatula. And I would be like, come here, let me see your wrists.
And stir the sauce again.
Whap! Yeah, I'm going to make you in spaghetti sauce. Now I have a big old knife. I always felt like if you're going to kill someone, you really want to use a knife. You can really feel it.
Yeah.
know,
I get
the
a
gun-
machete too.
Yeah, but these people who do like drive-bys and stuff, and then they get sent to prison for life. You don't even really get the fun of the kill
Right.
because you're so disconnected. You want to get the stab.
Yeah.
You want to. You're gonna get caught.
It's personal.
It's personal, right?
Yeah.
Good old strangulation, something of that nature. But the gun, I just feel like it's not quite as enjoyable. Weigh in.
Yeah.
How do you want to kill somebody?
Jeff is also saying Colorado recently banned future sales of them, the AR-15s. But
That might very well be the case they take up.
yeah, but they said it's grandfathered in if you already have one. So that's probably what they're going to try to do.
Right. So, Interesting indeed. And as I've said many, many times, guns are not biodegradable. So if you're grandfathered in, that gun is going to stay fairly in good condition for a long, long time. Specifically, if you take care of it by kissing it every single night and reading it in a nice Ayn Rand book.
Yeah.
And you say, go to bed, AR-15. And then the AR-15 says, thank you, Dad. Thank you, Mom. And it goes to sleep.
You read me Atlas Shrugged again?
And it just dreams of shooting up a movie theater.
Oh, God.
So, Justice Thomas, this is what he had to say. He wrote this in a solo dissent, interestingly enough. He says, I would not wait to decide whether the government can ban the most popular rifle in America. That question is of critical importance to tens of millions of law-abiding AR-15 owners throughout the country. We have avoided deciding it for a full decade. Just reading that quote, it seems to me like Justice Thomas would be erring on the side of making or continuing to have AR-15s legal in the eyes of the federal government. Maybe we should legalize weed as well.
Hey.
He added, I doubt we would sit by idly. I doubt we would sit by idly if lower courts were to subvert our precedents involving any other constitutional rights. So it does seem as if the courts, if this does get decided by the Supreme Court, barring any upheaval with who is currently sitting on the court, it does seem like the AR-15 will be protected. Specifically, if you take a look at how much money is falling into the hands mostly of the Republican Party, but also the Democratic Party. Don't forget, Vermont has more guns per capita than any state in the country.
Yeah.
And no one is thinking the home of Ben and Jerry from Ben and Jerry ice cream. Not Ben and Jerry, Ben the dog. Wait, Jerry the dog and Ben the guy talking to you right now. No one thinks that's a particularly conservative state. All right, just lastly, let's get to a bit of the working person getting squeezed.
Ooh.
Walmart.
And not a good squeeze.
Not a good squeeze. We all like a good squeeze every now and again. I love a nice good squeeze. Yeah. Pop me. Give me a good pop. Walmart, it's raising its prices. Walmart makes billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars. They are absolutely fine financially. They talk about how they've lost $6 billion because of theft.
That's complete horseshit.
Well, it's only 1% of their entire revenue.
Yeah.
They say, but it's $6 billion, so that's how much money this fucking company makes.
And that's a tax write-off. That's what they're doing.
Right. They're fine. Also, maybe don't fire all the people who previously worked there that would say, hey, okay, do you want paper or plastic? People called cashiers who they decided to get rid of under the guise that it would be convenient for customers to scan their own bullshit.
Yep.
To feel like they're back in high school again. I've never understood self-checkout.
Oh,
what a nightmare.
I loved it because I was stealing shit all the time.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, it was great when they didn't have cameras and nobody was really paying attention.
Right.
Fucking boom, in and out. See you later.
Yes.
Thanks for the bags.
Well, that's true. Well, I'm happy for you. Why not? So when it comes, this obviously has something to do with Donald Trump's tariffs. And as we've talked about many, many times, trickle-down economics is a lie. The only thing that trickles down is the cost to the working people. So Walmart has been quietly hiking up their prices. They are blaming Donald Trump. Donald Trump, of course, told them to eat the tariffs. The tariffs right now is because the tariffs that are most affecting Walmart is the tariffs on imports from China, which is a 145% tariff. So because of that, the people that are definitely not eating are the people who are now spending too much money on other goods so they can't afford groceries, because Walmart, a company, again, that can live just fine, be just fine, everyone will be okay if they don't raise their prices at all. But God forbid their shareholders even lose $1.
Yeah.
So the price of toys, the bulk, of course, which are made in China, those are going to be impacted, and impacted quite a bit. For example, these are real world examples. A Jurassic World T-Rex, okay? Which sounds pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
You got a kid?
Yeah.
He's going to get into dinosaurs.
I'm sure.
Daddy, I want a dinosaur. Daddy, I'm going to shit myself in this store if you don't give me a dinosaur. You got to buy him a fucking dinosaur.
True.
Right? because that's how kids work.
Yeah.
And nowadays, it's not like it used to be where if a kid was throwing a fit in the 90s, the parents had carte blanche to, curb them.
Yeah.
Just curb stomp them.
Yeah.
You could literally, you could almost kill your kid and people would be like, yep, kid was acting up.
Yeah, everyone had your back.
Everyone had your back.
Even the cops.
They were like, that's fantastic parenting.
Good
Really
job.
good job. You want me to beat them too? It's all changed now.
Yeah.
So you got you have no option, but you got to get this kid the Jurassic World T-Rex. So in April, it was $39.92. As of May 21st, $55. That's a huge increase.
Wait, what were the numbers again?
$39
Yeah.
to $55.
Jeez.
It's a 38% increase.
Wow.
A baby born doll? No, not the reborns we've talked about in OK Bud.
Yeah, that was creepy.
Yeah, those are crazy. Those are really expensive.
Yeah.
No word if the tariffs are affecting those. But the baby born doll, it was $34. It's now $49.
Jeez.
These things matter. Bright magic screen, Light Bright. They still have Light Bright
Oh,
apparently.
wow.
I don't know. Kids were playing with that.
Yeah.
I thought it was banned because all the kids were eating all the Light Brights.
Probably.
Maybe that was just me. I kept on eating them to see if they would show up in my stomach.
But your body broke it down?
No, it was no electricity. I wasn't plugged in.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I couldn't even do anything with it. Bullshit. Yeah. Anyway, they were $14. They're now $22. Etch a Sketch, 14 to 24, 67% increase. So basically, what is happening is a complete and utter gouging
Yep.
of the people who need these savings the most, which is the middle class Americans who shop at fucking Walmart.
My dad used to say all the time, everything goes up but your paycheck.
Exactly. And that is totally freaking true.
Mm-hmm.
It's nuts. I mean, can you search really quick for me? Well, I had it, but now I lost it. Walmart's annual revenue.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's insane. So that's your toys. But then you also have things that are a little bit more important. You have your food and things of that nature that are all going up. It ain't right.
Their revenue's going up every year.
The revenue has gone up. I know that.
2021, $559 billion.
Good for them.
22, $572 billion. Then we're all the way up here, fiscal year 2025. Reported revenue, $681 billion.
So they're doing just fine.
Yeah.
Again, that's why it's 1%. The $6 billion is 1%. And they're saying it's the theft. That's why we're raising prices. And the tariffs. That's why we're raising prices.
You can't even walk out without someone being like, let me check your receipt.
Yeah, I was showing my
Nobody's
receipt.
stealing shit from Walmart.
Well, you just said you did.
Well, not from Walmart. It would be like mostly the grocery stores.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Walmart's always
Walmart's
had
tough.
Yeah, they always have people right there at the door.
Yeah, my buddy got cut. He got sniped in high school for stealing at Walmart.
It's not even worth it. They'll take you to court over.
Oh yeah,
$40 bucks.
they're real litigious. They're all mad and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a mom and pop. Sam Walton.
Yeah.
So heating pads, for example, those were up 25%. God forbid you have a really, really harmful, hurtful period. Let's say your guts are all upset.
Yeah.
And you need a heating pad. Well, gonna cost you another $6 fucking.
Jesus.
Fishing and reel supply for a good old fishing reel. It used to be $57. Now it's $83. It ain't right.
Oh. Because once they get it up there, they'll bring it back down a little bit, and then you'll be happy enough to start spending there.
They say the sale. We're cutting prices. Remember that stupid little head they used to have?
Yeah.
That kept on going, beheading all the numbers.
The rollback.
The Al Qaeda. He was killing numbers. If you were like a 9, you'd be like, "Get the fuck out of here, you little smiley face." But to behead me like Daniel Pearl, little bastard. We don't know the political affiliation of that fucking smiley face. A Walmart spokesperson, they said pricing fluctuations are normal course of business, and we are influenced by a variety of factors. We remain dedicated to managing inventory and reducing expenses to maintain everyday low prices.
Everyday low.
Everyday low. Nothing about the current environment changes our focus. In the last quarter, we had 6,500 rollbacks.
Oh.
That's a lot of rollbacks. That's where the smiley face comes in again.
Yeah.
Which is 1,000 more than last quarter.
Whoa.
So they had 6,500 rollbacks, and then last quarter they only had 550, 5,500 rollbacks.
They're rolling back the rollbacks.
They're rolling back, but now they have more rollbacks.
Fuck.
Because they raised the prices so much, then you roll them back 20%, but you raise the prices 50%, so you're still making 30% more than you would have, but it's technically a rollback.
But people still go, oh, thank God.
The only rollbacks I want to hear about foreskin.
I don't even want to hear about that.
I do want to hear about that. I want to know what's going on with the rollbacks of the foreskin. We're rolling back foreskin here at Walmart. Walmart Chief Financial Officer John David Araney, he says the hikes are unprecedented. This is very good. He says we have always worked to keep our prices as low as possible, and we won't stop. But it seems like they did stop. So there you go.
Jeez.
It's happening. It's these are the things, again, that actually matter, not Donald Trump versus Elon Musk on social media. What matters is Doge looking into your personal finances, Walmart fucking you over, because God forbid they don't make, what was it again this year?
681 billion.
God forbid they don't make 640 billion. God forbid. Yeah. That would be very, very difficult. So we will keep you updated on everything that matters the best we can. And that's what we do here on OK Bud Politics.
Yep.
All right. Any comments?
Pano's saying Walmart sucks. The Super Walmart by him has 30 self-checkouts, but they're never open. 40 lanes, but only 2 cashiers. So
Oh, my God. Hire people.
You got to wait in line. Yeah, it's so
That's why they're
greedy.
making money. It is so great.
They're making like $10 to $15 an hour at most. And they're like, we don't want to do like 4 or 5 cashiers. Ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. Anything else?
Vanessa said that's the problem with swallowing light bulbs. You weren't plugged in.
Yeah. that's
Shove the
true.
cord up your ass.
Right. Right. Old lamp Kissel.
Yeah. And Jeff's saying it's a class war and the billionaires won it before we even knew it started.
It's unbelievable. Unbelievable.
That's true.
All right. Well, there we go.
Sad Friday.
Well, I don't know. We can end on kind of a positive note, I guess. Doritos and M&Ms, they could be forced to include warnings in Texas that say these products are going to kill you. I don't know.
Oh.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of, they will kill you.
Yeah.
But it's very interesting that Texas is now, this used to be like a liberal idea, that Doritos and M&Ms would be seen as like bad for you.
Right.
But now because of the this RFK Jr. guy, who the left hates, but he is right about one thing, and that is junk food and processed food is bad for you.
Yeah.
Kyle shared a clip with me of Joy Reid on MSNBC saying, or was it Joy Reid? Somebody on MSNBC was saying like, oh, how do we know processed food is bad for you? What's the science behind that? It's like, you fucking see.
Yeah. What are you talking
We all
about?
know processed food is bad for you. Just because RFK Jr. says it, he happens to be right about this. The vaccine shit, all that other stuff, okay, whatever you want to think about it, think about it. But the one thing we do know is the processed food is bad for you. So it is interesting that Texas, although they are completely wrong with their ban on THC, they're not entirely wrong with forcing Doritos and M&Ms to be like, just so you know, this product will kill you. It doesn't mean it's banned. It sounds kind of cooler now. If I was a kid, I think eating Doritos as an edgelord might be kind of awesome. Be like, yeah, I don't smoke, but I definitely eat nacho cheese.
I noticed your red fingertips. That's pretty cool, bro.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm kind of a Cooler Ranch guy.
Yeah.
Anyway. All right, that's it?
I think that's it. The people are saying we cleaned up nice last night. They saw the Instagram post.
Thank you. Yeah, we hung out with some people. It was a fundraiser. Was it a fundraiser?
It was like the kickoff party for this new company.
Was it G3?
Yes, it's like a crowdsourcing funding thing for entertainment projects.
Yeah, but we didn't get any money though.
No, not yet.
Not yet. We will. We will. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful weekend. We are going to go check out Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
Kyle and I and our friend Scott, we're going to go to Intuit Dome for their pre-show. Try to sneak in the bathroom.
Yeah, go hide in there.
And stay for the main show. Otherwise, we're going to go someplace and watch it together.
Yeah.
And kiss and hold hands, because what's more masculine than watching other men wrestle?
In spandex.
And some chicks. Okay, everyone, hail yourself. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.